Section 26 of the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, translated by Courtney Langdon. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Inferno, Canto 26. The Eighth Circle. Fraud. The Eighth Trench. Fraudulent Counsellors.
Rejoice, O Florence, since thou art so great that thou dost beat thy wings o'er sea and land, while even through hell thy name is spread abroad. Among the thieves 5 such as these I found, thy citizens, whence shame accrues to me, nor to great honour risest thou thereby. But if the truth be dreamed at dawn's approach, thou'lt feel a little while from now what Prato, of others not to speak, is craving for thee. And were it now, it would not be too soon. So were it, then, since thus it needs must be. For it will grieve me more, the more I age. We went away, and up the flight of stairs the bournes had formed for our descent before, my teacher climbed again, and drew me with him. And as we followed up the lonely path among the rocks and boulders of the crag, our feet proceeded not without our hands. I sorrowed then, and now again I sorrow, when I direct my mind to what I saw, and curb my genius more than I am wont, lest it should run when virtue guides it not. That if a kindly star, or aught that's better, have blessed me, I myself may not regret it. As many glow-worms as the countryman, who on the hillside takes his rest when he who lights the world least hides his face from us, while to the gnat the fly is giving way, sees down along the valley where perchance he gathers in his grapes or ploughs his field. With just as many flames the whole 8th trench was gleaming bright, as I perceived at once, when I was where its bottom came in view. As he who by the bears avenged himself beheld Elijah's chariot when it left, and when to heaven its horses rose erect, since he could not so trace it with his eyes, as to see more than just the flame alone, when like a little cloud it rose on high. Of such a nature were the flames that moved along the gully of the ditch, for none displays its theft, though each a sinner hides. Risen up to look, I so stood on the bridge that without being pushed I would have fallen, had I not grasped a great projecting rock. My leader, who perceived me thus intent, then said,
"The spirits are within the fires, and each is swathed by that wherewith he burns."
"My teacher," I replied, "I'm more assured through hearing thee, but deemed it so already, and wished to ask thee, who is in the flame which comes along so cloven at the top, that from the pyre it seems to rise, whereon Eteocles was with his brother placed?" He answered me,
"Therein are both Ulysses and Diomed tormented, who in pain thus go together, as they did in wrath. And in that flame of theirs they now bewail the ambush of the horse which made the gate, from which the Romans' noble seed went forth. There they lament the trick, because of which Deidamia, dead, still mourns Achilles. There the Palladium's penalty is paid."
"If they can speak within those sparks," said I pray thee, teacher, much, and pray again that mine be worth to thee 1,000 prayers, refuse not my request to linger here until the horned flame come this way. Thou seest that toward it I am inclined by great desire." And he replied to me,
"Thy prayer deserves much praise, and therefore I accede to it. But see thou that thy tongue restrain itself. Leave speech to me, who have a clear idea of what thou wouldst, for they, since Greeks they were, might be perchance disdainful of thy words."
After the flame had come so near to us that time and place seemed fitting to my leader, 'twas in this fashion that I heard him speak.
"O ye that in a single flame are 2, if I deserved of you when still alive, if I deserved of you or much or little, when in the world I wrote the lofty verses, depart not, but let one of you inform us whither, when lost, he went away to die."
The greater horn then of the ancient flame began to quiver with a murmuring sound, as would a flame made weary by the wind, and then, while swaying here and there its tip, as if the latter were the tongue that spoke, gave forth a voice, and said,
"When I departed from Circe, who concealed me near Gaeta more than a year, before Aeneas so had named the place, nor fondness for my son, nor pious reverence for my aged father, nor even the bounden love which should have cheered Penelope, could overcome within me the eagerness I had to gain experience both of the world and of the vice and worth of men. But forth I put upon the deep and open sea with but a single ship, and with that little company by whom I had not been deserted. Both its shores I then beheld, as far away as Spain, Morocco, and the island of the Sardes, and all the rest that sea bathes round about. Both old and slow were I and my companions, when we attained that narrow passage-way where Hercules set up those signs of his which warned men not to sail beyond their bounds. Seville I left behind me on the right hand, Chaeta I'd left already on the other. And then I said, O brothers, ye who now have through 100,000 perils reached the west, to this so short a waking time still left your senses, will not to refuse the experience of that world behind the sun which knows not man. Bethink you of the seed which ye have sprung, for ye were not created to live the life of stupid animals, but manliness and knowledge to pursue. So eager for the voyage did I make my fellows by this little speech of mine, that, after it, I hardly could have checked them. Hence to the morning having turned our stern, we with our oars made wings for our mad flight, ever veering toward the left as on we sped. Night was already seeing all the stars of the other pole, and our pole so low down that from the ocean's floor it never rose. 5 times rekindled, and as often quenched, had been the light beneath the moon, since first we entered on the passage of the deep, when lo, a mountain loomed before us, dim by reason of the distance, and so high it seemed to me that I had seen none such, and we rejoiced. But soon our happiness was turned to grief. For from the new-found land a whirlwind rose and smote our vessel's prow. 3 times it made her whirl with all the waters, then at the 4th it made her stern go up and prow go down, even as another pleased, till over us the ocean's waves had closed.
End of Inferno, Canto 26.